Hello and welcome to yet another edition of Healthy Living here on Times. You're with me, Tabby Gamangala. This is a program where we talk about all things non-communicable diseases. Now remember, this program is sponsored by MASM.
You have all your MASM information in one place. With the MASM mobile app, all MASM members register on the MASM mobile app. Download the app from Apple Store or Google Play Store. Install and open. Click register to register. Enter your membership number. The default membership number has 9 digits. If you don't succeed, try 11 digits. Choose your name, password, and OTP destination. Remember, when adding your mobile number, 265, not plus 265. You can also register with your email address easily and keep updated with your MASM account right in the palm of your hand. For more information, email infodesk@masm.mw or visit www.masm.mw.
Now joining me today in the program is Dr. Chiwoza Bandawe, a clinical psychologist at the Kamuzu University of Health Sciences. He's here to talk a lot about mental health. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
We're social distancing, so that's good.
Yes.
For my mental health.
Indeed.
We're just going to get right into it. What is mental health?
Right, thank you. So when we talk of mental health, we're basically talking of a state of well-being.
Okay.
Most people think of mental health as mental illness. But mental health is about you being fully aware of who you are.
Okay.
It's about you also being able to function and work productively, being able to contribute meaningfully to your community, but it's also about you being able to navigate and handle the day-to-day life challenges that we encounter. So yeah, when we speak of mental health, that's often what we are talking about. So the implication of that is quite stark in the sense that anything that prevents you from realizing your full potential, from being the best that you can do, to work productively, to be to contribute as much in your community, that is a mental health challenge if you are not able to do that. So for example, if you are at work but your mind is on financial challenges you are having or other conflicts you are having, so that you are not as productive as you can be, that's a mental health issue. Your mental health is not optimal. Yeah, so it affects all of us. So when we speak of mental health, we are speaking of something that affects all of us. All of us do have mental health, or should be, as optimal in our mental health. And then so when we speak of mental health, we are also speaking really of mental disorders or things that prevent us from being optimal.
Okay.
So we can have mental disorders, we can have mental illnesses as well.
So a disorder is different from the illness?
Well,
or is it the same thing?
Right. So, so the basic difference is that when we speak of a disorder, we are often speaking of something which a person is perhaps able to function, and is aware of their situation and is in touch with reality. The illness is often about not being in touch with reality. So the illness would be, for example, hearing voices when there are none around, or seeing things, or believing that people are out to get you, those kinds of things, and it's often referred to as psychosis. So that's the illness, and often the illness is known as schizophrenia. A disorder, on the other hand, has different levels, so you can have mild, moderate, and severe. But you are in touch with reality. That's the fundamental thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're in touch with reality, meaning you're not seeing things, you're not hearing things.
That's right. You're not seeing things, hearing things, but your ability to function optimally is often compromised.
Right.
So if you look at the common mental disorders, the two most common mental disorders in the world are depression and anxiety. So if you look at depression, you are in touch with reality, but with mild forms of depression, for example, you're able to work and function. But the more severe types, then maybe you're not even able to carry out your responsibilities as you are expected. The same for anxiety, the same for substance use disorders, the same for a wide range of mental disorders that people have, from eating disorders to sleeping disorders, the whole spectrum of the life experience.
What are the causes of mental health issues?
So they are wide range. So for some conditions, they are genetic. So they are biological. So one of the things that we would often ask is there family history? So we know, for instance, with, let's say, depression, if you have a biological parent who also had depression, then the chances of you also becoming depressed is very, very high. So there's a genetic link.
You can get depression based on a family member that had it, or just your parents. If they had it, you could get depression as well. I thought it was circumstantial. For example, if you're going through a financial issue or issues at work or in your relationship, that's when you get depression. I wasn't aware it was a genetic issue.
For some, yes, it's genetic. There's a genetic link. Even anxiety disorders for some. So often the link is that you are predisposed.
Yeah.
So there's a possibility that you might actually, you are more likely to get it. So it's a combination of different things. So there's a genetic link, but also there may be circumstantial, there may be environmental factors, social factors, and when they all come together, if you have a relative or a biological parent or a brother, sibling, and so on, who had depression, then you are more prone to it than others, for example. So it is a combination, what we call the biopsychosocial. So there is a biological factor. There's also environmental and social factors. Like, for example, we know that unemployment, poverty, contributes tremendously to mental health challenges that people have.
So those are some of the because I was going to ask you, what are some of these circumstantial or environmental issues, because you mentioned that could lead to mental health issues?
Yeah, so those ones. But there are also others. So, for instance, somebody who has experienced a trauma of a particular kind, be it an accident, be it an abuse of some kind, like a rape. Those who maybe have experienced a natural disaster or victims of crime. So those things also can lead to mental health challenges. In particular, a condition we call post-traumatic stress disorder.
Right. Now, how do I know that my mental health is not okay?
Yeah, that's a really important question. Because many people don't know. I mean, we know, for instance, that most mental disorders begin in the 15 to 24-year age group.
Wow.
But most of them go through into adulthood without knowing that they have, mental health challenges. So it's important for people to have an awareness. So, for instance, you can know when there is a change. Let's say that you are not working as optimally as you can, you are not at your best, that you are finding that maybe you're having difficulty in sleeping, difficulty in eating, you're feeling sadder, or you're finding that you are addicted to particular things like maybe alcohol or particular drugs, and that those things are occupying your mind, and that you're not able to navigate the day-to-day challenges. You know that when a challenge comes, it overwhelms you so much. So those are indicators that there is a mental health challenge that is there. Yes.
Right. Now, in terms of you were responding to how do I know I've got mental health issues? How do I know if a family member or a friend or someone close to me has mental health issues? Right.
So the primary thing is you will notice a change.
Okay.
So, for instance, there may be it may be someone who was outgoing and enjoyed engaging with everybody, but now suddenly is withdrawn and is staying in their room, for instance. So you notice there is a change. You may notice, for instance, their work performance, or if they are studying, their grades drop. You know? So a change in behavior, a change in character is often an indication as well. Yeah.
So if they were outgoing before, they'll be more reserved. If they used to hang out with people, they'll become a loner.
For some, yeah. For others, it can be the exact opposite. They are more quiet. Suddenly, they are very
really.
Yes. So it's a change. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. For some, it can be that others manage to hide it quite well. That you wouldn't know, and you're able to just pick up and begin to piece together different.
That's what I was going to ask. Can you have mental health issues and not know it?
Right. Well, so if you are not able to function at your optimal, then that's when we would say, yes, you have a mental health issue. And most people, when they're not at their optimal, they would tend to know it. But some people are in denial. Some people say, I'm fine, I'm okay. Yeah. But yet others can pick up that actually, no, you're not there. We can see there's a change, there's a difference. You are not optimal in your day-to-day functioning.
Yeah. All right, when we come back, we're going to answer 2 questions. What do we do when we've got mental health issues? And also, is there a prevention or a cure for mental health issues? So we'll be right back after this.
Life is an up and down journey where anything can happen at any time. But at any time, you have peace of mind with MAZIM. MAZIM offers all-inclusive affordable medical aid cover in various packages of schemes in line with your budget, with a promise to take care of you and your family in that time of dire need. From giving you access to medical services at hospitals locally and abroad, emergency evacuation, dentist and optical care, all the way to funeral benefits. MAZIM is there holding your hand, keeping you covered. For details of the medical scheme you need, call 01-820-298, 01-820-543, 0888-707-100, fax 01-820-217, email infodesk@mazim.mw, or visit www.mazim.mw. MAZIM, your ultimate healthcare solution.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, remember this is Healthy Living here on Times, a program that is sponsored by MAZIM. I am joined by Dr. Joza Bandawe. We've been talking a lot about mental health issues, what they are, the different types of disorders, and how you can tell if you have mental health. Moving on, there's been a rise in suicide cases, especially among the youth, which is disheartening. Do you think there's enough awareness on mental health issues? Because I feel like perhaps sometimes, that's why I asked, how do I know if a family member has it? I feel like sometimes maybe a family member may be going through something, or you might be going through something, and as you said, you might be in denial, or you might not know. Is there enough awareness on the disease?
Right, so we need to increase awareness about mental health generally, the mental health issues as well as optimal mental health. But it is indeed very concerning, the increase in the suicide numbers, especially among youth. And what we really need to do is to encourage people, or to enable people to be able to pick up some of the signs.
Right.
What we call mental health literacy, in the same way that, reading and writing, but to be able to be literate about mental health, to be able to recognize signs and symptoms, to be able to know where to refer, to be able to know how to manage it. So we need to, for instance, really equip our teachers, our religious leaders, with just basic mental health knowledge to be able to pick up depression and anxiety, substance use. So the most common mental disorders.
What should we do when someone has mental health, or when you have mental health? Is it because with other diseases, you could say, I have a headache, so that's a symptom, I'm going to go to the hospital. Or I have back pain, or I'm vomiting, or I have nausea. With mental health, at what point do you say, you know what, we got to go to the hospital?
Right, that's a very important question, because most people self-manage their mental health challenges. So if, for instance, they're feeling sad, so they might listen to music. So if the symptoms are mild, then it's self-management is possible, self-treatment. But when it begins to interfere with, let's say, one's schooling, with one's work, with one's business, with one's capacity, as well as one's responsibility, you find that people are not fulfilling their responsibility. That is when you can say that actually, you know what, you need help, or help is available. When it becomes really overwhelming for the person. So at that point, that's when intervention would often be required.
Now, you're a clinical psychologist. Now, if I'm going to the government hospital, I've got mental health issues, where am I going? Am I going to a general practitioner? Am I meeting a nurse? Where am I going?
Right, so general practitioners in their training do have basic mental health information. They'll be able to assess and say, I think this depression, this needs somebody more qualified in terms of addressing or looking more specifically at mental health challenges. So, for example, if it's a substance use issue. So the mental health practitioners that you would often find are what we clinical or psychiatric clinical officers, psychiatric nurses. You'd find most such cadres in most hospitals, most government hospitals, district hospitals. So you'll be able to find them, and they are the ones who really are holding our mental health. They're doing a commendable job.
Shout out to them.
Indeed. And then you have other cadres who are sort of more specialized, like psychiatrists, clinical psychologists, clinical counselors, clinical social workers, who are also trained in mental health, more specialized in mental health. The challenge is that we have very few. So, for instance, we have 3 psychiatrists in the whole country. 3.
No.
Yeah. So for a population of about 18 million,
we've got 3.
We have 3. So it's 6 million. Each one has 6 million. So it's pretty. And then clinical psychologists are very few as well. We're about 4 registered with the medical council.
Wow.
So we are seeing, though, not only in hospitals but also privately, we are seeing a increasing number of counselors, people who are offering counseling services, people who may have a degree in counseling, and so we are seeing a tremendous rise in counselors who are able to offer mental health services.
Is there a helpline? If I don't want to go to the hospital, for example, and I feel I'm embarrassed because my doctor is, maybe it could be a family friend or close to someone that I know, and I don't want to share the fact that I'm having mental health issues. Is there a helpline that I can call and get some help?
Yes, there are several helplines. There are several helplines that are now coming up. That people can call if one is feeling really suicidal or feeling sad. Such helplines are available.
Is there a cure?
Right. So what we can say is that mental health challenges or mental disorders are treatable.
Okay.
Yeah. Some of them are manageable, which means that we're able to manage and navigate. So if we start with mental illness, for some people, they may need to be on medication because the treatment is a medication and therapy. They may need to be on medication for the rest of their lives. Others for a short period of time. Others will go into therapy, psychotherapy, which is counseling. And you find that for mental disorders, the depressions, anxieties, and so on, there is tremendous evidence, scientific evidence, that they are treatable, that people are able to overcome those challenges. For some, they may, for particular conditions, they may require to be on medication for a long time or in therapy for a very long time.
Okay.
Yeah, depending on the nature of the disorder, depending on how they're affected. There are some that are not. For instance, a condition with dementia, which is the neurological, in terms of your ability, as you get older, ability to use what we call executive functioning, to make decisions, to memory, to think, So you find that people who are getting older, because it is a degenerative process, would not be, we can't say they will get cured. It's just something that the family has to learn to adjust to. There are some developmental disorders that are the mental retardation, for example, autism. So you find that they are you are able to help them manage and navigate so that they can function to their optimum as best as they could. But it would be a condition that they would have for the rest of their life.
Now, I read somewhere recently that happiness is a state of mind, and you mentioned that one of the signs and symptoms of mental health issues is that you start feeling some sort of sadness. Does that mean you can't prevent mental health issues? Because at some point as human beings we get sad.
Yes, so being sad, being afraid, being anxious is normal, and it's normal that we will have ups and downs. We'll encounter a wide range of challenges in life. So it's normal to be sad. The challenge comes in, or the disorder comes in, when it begins to be persistent. Yeah. So if, for instance, you're expecting to meet someone or you were looking forward to something and it didn't happen, it's normal to feel sad and to feel down. But, but you would often get over it after a period of time. But then if you find that that sadness is there and it's persistently there and it's not going away, then that is a mental disorder, or that points to a mental disorder. So it's about the intensity that one has and the period, how long it is present. But also, you'd expect after some time that somebody might, be able to get on and move on. But for some people, they become stuck. So at that time, we can then say that, okay, that might require professional help to help them. So prevention, there are some things to do that it can help prevent. So for instance, it's all linked to things like making sure that you think right, that you focus on what's working rather than on what's not working. Sometimes people find that they are having lots of negative thoughts, and that can lead you down the spiral towards depression. You have a full life, eating well, exercising, because there's a link between the mind and the body. So those are very important. As well, to do reading about conditions, just making sure that you are fully aware of things. But also taking time to rest, taking time to do something you really enjoy. All those are very, very important. And then when you encounter a challenge, take the lesson from it. Look, say, what can I learn from this to help me move forward? Make sure that you are interpreting it right, rather than allowing it to knock you out.
Does diet and food play a role? Because you spoke about exercise and eating well. Now, does food and dieting play a role?
Yes, it does, very much so. So making sure that one is eating the healthy foods plays a very big role, because and exercise.
What kind of food? When you say healthy, what kind of?
Okay,
food
so for example,
even for the
vegetables for the average, making vegetables, avoiding all these fried foods that we love. Yeah, well,
I love chips, but
that's that. So those all play. Drinking plenty of water, minimizing use of alcohol, and there's a clear link also between exercise, and let's say sadness or depression, that the more one exercises, the less likely that one can become.
Okay. Today's program, I was joined by Dr. Chiwoza Bendawe, who is a clinical psychologist. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, remember that May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so you might want to call that loved one or that friend and check up on them and find out how they're doing, how's their day going, how's the month been, or how's the year so far, so that you make sure that they're in good condition and that their mental health is on point. Until next time, you're with me, Tabika Wangala. Remember, this program is proudly sponsored by MASM.
Life is an up and down journey where anything can happen at any time. But at any time, you have peace of mind with MASM. MASM offers all-inclusive affordable medical aid cover in various packages of schemes in line with your budget, with a promise to take care of you and your family in that time of dire need. From giving you access to medical services at hospitals locally and abroad, emergency evacuation, dentist, and optical care, all the way to funeral benefits. MASM is there holding your hand, keeping you covered. For details of the medical scheme you need, call 01-820-298, 01-820-543, 0888-707-100. Fax 01-820-217. Email infodesk@masm.mw or visit www.masm.mw. MASM, your ultimate healthcare solution.